Hi there, Jody here, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, on my channel I talk about Broadway books and television, usually in a very random order. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving a spoiler-free review on the latest book that I've read. So in my spoiler-free reviews, I go over certain things like I always do, such as what the book's about, if I've read from this author before or not, my thoughts on the book, my star rating, as well as, if this is a book I would recommend reading. So without any further ado, let's get on to today's spoiler-free book review, and that would be for the book Breathless by Jennifer Niven. So Breathless is a YA coming-of-age story and romance about Claudine Henry, who likes to go by Claude. Claude has her whole summer planned out ahead of her. She plans on spending every single moment of her upcoming summer on a road trip with her very best friend before they both start college in the fall. But with only days before Claude is set to graduate high school, both of her parents sit her down to tell her that the two of them will be separating and getting a divorce. Claude's parents tell her not to talk about the separation with anyone because they don't want everyone in town gossiping about their business. So in the days leading up to her graduation, Claude does as her parents say and keeps everything to herself. Claude then graduates high school, and right after that is when her mother tells her that the two of them will be spending the summer on an island off the coast of Georgia. A reluctant Claude goes with her mother instead of going on her planned road trip. This summer for Claude was meant to be about having fun with her best friend before they both started college. But instead of that, Claude's world has fallen apart and she's miserable in a place where she doesn't want to be and doesn't know anybody. It's on the island where Claude meets Jeremiah Crew, a local who Claude finds a deep connection with. Claude feels a pull towards Jeremiah and feels at ease in his presence, feeling free to just be herself, flaws and all. At the start of summer, the island was the last place that Claude wanted to be and wanted nothing more than just go back home and be back in her own world. But as the summer gets closer to an end, Claude finds that there's nowhere else on earth that she would rather be, and she's not sure how she's ever going to be able to say goodbye. This is the second book by Jennifer Niven that I've read. The first book by this author that I read was All the Bright Places, which is a book that I really liked. I have to say, though, Breathless is the book that made me want to read everything now that this author has ever written. As far as the next by this author that I would want to read, it would either be Holding Up the Universe or Take Me With You When You Go, which is a book that Jennifer Niven co-wrote with David Levithan, as those are two books that I have but have not yet read. And in case you're interested, this author has not one but two new releases coming out within the year. The first is When We Were Monsters, which was released in September, and the second is Meet the Newmans, which comes out in January. So now for my thoughts on the book. I absolutely love this book so much, and now I'll go on and talk about what I liked about it. So one of the things that I liked was the writing. I really liked Jennifer Niven's writing and way of storytelling. The writing in this book had such heart and emotion in every single word that you couldn't help but become invested in the story as you were reading it. Not only did the writing have a lot of heart and emotion in it, but also a lot of personality as well. I couldn't help but think when reading the book how Jennifer Niven was meant to be a writer and tell stories. Definitely one of my favorite authors now after reading Breathless. Another thing that I liked was the story. Breathless is a heavily emotional coming-of-age story about how life is like a roller coaster, a series full of ups and downs, about how life can throw you curveballs where and when you least expect it. In the story, Claude doesn't know how to handle any of the changes being thrown at her. The news of her parents' separation rocks Claude's world, making her feel as though the floor beneath her has completely vanished right before her eyes. Claude is confused, hurt, and angry, and feels the life she had, the life that she loved, is slowly slipping away out of her grasp. At first, the island was the last place that Claude wanted to be, especially with her mother. But as the days go on from one to the next, Claude starts to see how this trip at this exact time in her life was the best thing for her. By getting away and out of her world back at home, she was able to feel every emotion that she needed to feel and was finally able to breathe and get out all her frustrations. This time away helped Claude in more ways than she could ever have imagined, helping her see how strong of a person she really was and helping her become the version of herself that she never knew she could ever be. The last thing that I liked was the romance between Claude and Jeremiah. These two characters had such amazing chemistry, along with an undeniable connection that was so incredibly deep, powerful, and strong. Claude and Jeremiah really understood one another, really listened to one another, and truly cared about one another. In only a short period of time, Claude and Jeremiah formed an emotionally deep bond. They could just look into each other's eyes and just from that simple and subtle gesture alone, know that the other person would always be there for them, no matter what. Claude and Jeremiah's romance was incredibly sweet and sincere. They could be their complete and authentic selves with one another. They could be silly and have fun and go on adventures, and then at the same time, they could be vulnerable with each other, where they could always feel free to open up to each other about anything. Their hopes and dreams, their struggles and fears, their insecurities, knowing that the other person would always listen and never judge. What I liked most about their relationship was that they were such a support system for each other. The story showed just how important and special it is to have support in one's life, to have someone in your life who you can lean on and talk to about anything and everything, someone to laugh with, someone to cry with, and someone who will just simply always be there for you no matter what. So those are my thoughts on the book. Now for my star rating. Breathless is a book that I really enjoyed reading and was really able to connect to. There was so much about this book that I loved, from the story to the characters, to the writing, to the romance. This book was a heavily emotional one that made you think and made you feel something. With all that being said, my star rating for Breathless was that this was definitely more than a 5-star read for me. It was 6 stars. And now for my recommendation, which is that I would say if you're looking for an incredibly sweet and very emotional summer romance read, I highly recommend Breathless by Jennifer Niven. So yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope I helped you discover a new book today along the way as well. And until next time, bye.